think this too, like, oh, I'm spiritual. That doesn't mean anything. You know, people say that all the time. I don't know if you hear it, but people are like, I'm a spiritual person. I believe a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No. No. That's, no. He's the only way. You can look your whole life. You can try to seek him in, you know, whatever crystals and whatever you like, and burn as many incense and, you know, whatever you want to do. But burn as many candles, but there's only one way to heaven. That's through Jesus. Hi, my name is Jessica Sanchez. I am 35 years old. I have 3 children, and I am a stay-at-home mom. I just had my little baby in September, and I'm married.
Okay. And you've been a member of Pentecostal Assembly for how long?
I've been a member at Pentecostal Assembly for 9 years.
Jessica, describe yourself growing up.
Very shy. I would never have done something like this. I would never have a camera pointing at me, ever. I was very insecure. I was always very overweight, and I never felt worthy.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, I grew up with 2 parents that loved me, and I knew I was loved. But there was just something that, I don't know, maybe it being because I was teased about being overweight, and growing up with kind of like, I'm not a pretty girl. So I kind of had to, I always felt like I wasn't a pretty girl. So I had to kind of like, I don't know, I measured myself by that. I just measured myself by that, and I kind of put myself in that category.
Were you bullied?
Yeah, I was. Now, back then it was teasing. You know, your cousins would tease you. It's teasing. Or a boy on the bus would say mean things to you, and it was teasing. You would just ignore it. But that teasing stood with me my whole life. It put me in a bad marriage. When I was very young, I got married to someone I should not have, because I felt I wasn't good enough for anything else. You know, looking back, you know, I put up with a lot more than I should have, because I felt like, you know, who else would love me? That's how I, you know, that's how that went. See, I knew there was a heaven, you know, and there was a hell. I knew that much, you know. So I thought if you were a good person, you would automatically go to heaven. So I figured, you know, I never drank, I never smoked. I just wasn't something I did. I was a mom. So I thought, hey, I'm a good mom. I don't steal.
You're a good person.
I'm a good
right.
person. I donate. I volunteer for things. I don't need to go to church. I'm a great person. That was my mentality. So I figured, you know, I don't do anything wrong. I don't sleep around. You know what I mean? I don't do bad things. So I'm a good person. And I thought for a long time, and that's a lie from the enemy. That, you know, and a lot of people are fooled by that, because that's the thing. I thought, you know, I was a good person, and that's how I lived my life.
And that was enough.
And that was enough, and it's not. But that's how it was. So I'd wake up, and I would just go about my life like I thought it was normal. It was fine. You know, I didn't do any of those things. I mean, if you were in front of me in line and you dropped a $20 bill, I'd tell you dropped a $20 bill. That was my key to heaven. That was great. Who needs church? I don't need a change. Why do I need a change? I'm great. That's how I thought. And boy, was I wrong. I was very wrong. But I think that a lot of people are fooled by that. Now, I was not raised in church. My grandmother was very Catholic, and so I grew up knowing there was a God, knew there was a God, but he was someone, you know, that you kind of call on when, oh my goodness, I have a flat tire, please help me. It was one of those things. He was a God that, let it snow tomorrow, I don't want to go to school. You know, he was almost kind of like Santa Claus.
Mhm.
Or, sorry to say, but that's how I grew up kind of thinking of him like that. Or be good because you don't want God to get mad at you. It was more of that type of God. So when my daughter, when we drove by and she said to me one day, it was maybe May, it was getting warmer out, and we were driving home and she said, Mommy, look at that building. And I, had Fun 107 on, that radio station on, and I lowered it to hear her. I said, what? She goes, I want to go there. Can you bring me there? And I looked at her like she was nuts. And I looked in the mirror and I said, yeah, babe, sure. Cranked up the radio and went home. Didn't think anything of it. Just thought, she was 6. I mean, come on, So then another week went by and she saw this, the church was crowded. It was a Wednesday night Bible study. And it was, a lot of cars in the parking lot. She said, Mommy, I really want to go there. Is that a church? And I said, yeah, that's a church. Why do you want to go there? We don't know anybody there. Now, I had never taken this child to church. She was 6 years old. I had never taken her to any church. I think maybe to a wedding. Now, it was a Catholic wedding, very long. I don't think she, it was very long, and she was actually in the wedding. But that was it. I'd never taken her. So I said, Victoria, I said, yeah, sure. With, of course, no intention of going. The 3rd week came by, and it was a Sunday, and I guess she was surprised that it was daytime. There were people at the church again. She said, Mommy, I want to go to that church.
She was persistent.
She was very persistent, and she got angry. And I went home. I said, Victoria, come on. So I went home, and as I'm going up the stairs, she goes, Mama, I never knew you were a liar. You lied to me, Mom. And of course I got angry. And my first reaction was to, now looking back, I know it was, the resistance that we have. The enemy does not want you to go to church. It's the last thing he wants. So I started to get angry, and then I went into the bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, and something came over me, and I just started to cry. I went to my knees and I sobbed, and I said, oh wow, like here's this little girl. She's not asking to go to Chuck E. Cheese. She's not asking to buy a new dress or toys. She's asking me to go to a church. And in that moment, I actually spoke to a God that I didn't know, that I never really spoken to. And I'm sorry, I didn't know him. And I all I could do was thank him for this child that, at the time she was my only child. I was divorced. I was raising her alone. And I remember just thanking him for this child that wants to go to his house. And I'm very shy, and the thought of going somewhere that I didn't know anybody, of course in my mind I started making excuses. Well, I don't have any clothes to go to church. I don't have church shoes. How can I go to church without church shoes? I don't own a fancy dress. What am I gonna do? But I went out of the bathroom and I said, Victoria, we're gonna go Sunday. We're gonna go. She picked out the fanciest little summer dress, pink polka dotted dress, and shoes. And she laid it on her bed. And I said, well, you can't have that dress out all week. She goes, I want you to remember, you promised. So she left that dress out on the edge of her bed all week. Saturday night, she reminded me, as I'm struggling to find something to wear. I get in the car, I park on the corner of the church. I didn't dare go in the parking lot. And I look in the rearview mirror and I said to her, are you sure? You don't want to go to Friendly's for ice cream? You don't want to go to Friendly's? And she's jumping up and down in the back going, no, that's my church. And we're going to be late. Look, they're going to start without me. And in my mind going, this chick has lost it. My church? She doesn't know anybody. And I'm like, do you have any friends that come here that like from school? She goes, no, but that's my church. And you're going to make me late. You promised. Okay, so I get out. Of course, I want to sit way in the back. And I'll never forget, because you sit in the back. You sit back there, and that thing that is behind you was almost hitting the back of my head, because I went right to the very back of the church, because I didn't want anyone, I'm already new. I didn't want any attention. All of a sudden, everyone starts clapping, and they stand up, and I'm going, I've never been in a church where people clap, and I'm going, what kind of church is this? Where's all the kneeling? And I said, so I didn't dare clap. I was very rigid. And I look over, and here's my little beautiful 6-year-old with her little Sunday dress and curly hair, and she's clapping. And my first reaction was to go, shh, 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 don't clap. All of a sudden, she lifts her arms and goes, hallelujah! And I'll never forget, I thought I was gonna like pass out because people looked, someone turned around and thought she was the cutest thing. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, I'm so embarrassed because I don't know what to do. I'm so awkward here. So I left. We left. The service was over. I sneaked out the back, and we get in the car, and she's grinning from ear to ear, and she says, Mama, I told you would like my church. But every time she'd say that, I didn't know what it was, but it would annoy me because I just didn't know why she kept saying that. Like she knew something that I didn't know. So I went back again, and I came back again. I had this little person that wouldn't let me not come. And on the seventh, I want to say it was the 6th time I came, I accepted Christ. I went up, and it was a feeling that I'll never forget. There was nothing, it was almost like a magnet. There was nothing going to hold me back. I stood up and I ran up there, and I accepted Christ. Looking back, that was definitely the Holy Spirit that knew how much I loved this child, and I was not going to say no to her. That's the only way. That's the way that God knew to use her to reach me, because He knew my love for her. I would not deny her of that. I would not. I tried to ignore it. I tried to be, but I couldn't, and that's where it began for me.